What is going on, everybody? Welcome on to Bleacher Report Live. Another day, another Eagles victory. Tanner Mckee's a stud. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, man. That dude looks so confident. He looks so comfortable in the offense. He puts the ball where it needs to be perfectly, essentially every single throw. He commands the pocket. He commands the huddle. He's got it. When Kenny Pickett's in the game, the dude's getting chased around nonstop. He's getting sacked 4 times. The ball's barely in the air for any of these completions. I think it's clear who the number 2 quarterback is on this roster. Now, it's hysterical that Dave Zangaro, or Dave Spadaro on the broadcast throws out there right at the end of the game that the Eagles love their quarterback situation. They love the fact that they got a couple of guys here that they trust, and Kenny Pickett is the number 2. Yeah, it's because someone's breathing down his neck. I don't know what to tell you. Tanner Mckee can play. And that 2-point conversion, the game-winning drive, and this is after he thought he was done for the day. Will Grier comes in. I didn't hear any status on what happened with that situation, but Tanner Mckee re-enters the game. Think about the mental toughness there. I'm just saying. You're playing in the preseason. You think your night's over. You probably check out for a little bit. Here's a game-winning drive plus a 2-point conversion, which was beautifully designed by Kellen Moore to get that wide-open throw on the corner of the end zone there. Magnificent. All jokes aside, Tanner Mckee literally drops dimes. He throws dots. He puts it right on the chest, right in the middle of the numbers. And if it needs to be a softer touch, he'll have someone run perfectly right underneath a sensational little teardrop. He looks like a damn quarterback. I'm aware of the competition on the other side. But when it comes to the smell test, it seems to me that we got a backup quarterback that maybe they didn't anticipate. There's a reason why they made the trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look, I think Kenny Pickett looks like a backup quarterback. So that's no knock on him. If there was no Tanner Mckee and you had to roll with Kenny Pickett, who goes 7-5 in back-to-back seasons as a starter with Matt Canada's offense, I can only imagine with all of your number 1 starters in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, that if Jalen Hurts is banged up for a game or two, Kenny Pickett could probably survive. But right now, between the both of these two battling, one guy looks way more confident in his throws. He's not afraid to make a mistake. He reads through his progressions rather nicely. And I'm not taking this out of proportion here. I'm keeping it all within the realm of who he's facing, the competition that, is on the other side. But at the same time, you're throwing to guys like EJ, who, believe it or not, was banged up but making ridiculous catches. And who was the other one that was out there? Ngata. He made some great catches as well. And to Kenny Pickett's credit and to John Ross's credit, I thought there was one slant where it was a dot and it was crisp. This was Kenny Pickett, I'm saying, early in the game. As soon as you broke for your route, it was perfectly right where it needed to be, and I thought that was a solid one. Now, Kenny Pickett and John Ross on the left side of the sidelines early when John Ross didn't have the concussion protocol issue yet, and not only that, he was beating up on Christian Gonzalez, which That's supposed to be one of their number one corners. That's supposed to be one of their studs, one of their playmakers, one of their identity pieces of the defense. Man, the Patriots are going to suck next season. And he's getting torched by John Ross, whose NFL's life is basically on life support. I mean, that's what it is. But one of the throws, I think Kenny Pickett put it in an area for John Ross to make a play. I don't know if there was miscommunication on where exactly the ball was going to be. Some were saying online that Kenny Pickett overthrew him. I thought more along the lines of John Ross probably could have actually done a better job to complete the catch. But regardless, there were some things out there with Kenny Pickett that makes me feel he can hold his head above water if need be in a very short sample size. But Tanner Mckee is absolutely 1,000% making a ton of noise, and he deserves an obnoxious amount of respect for it because, you know, just the way that you hear Jalen Hurts talk about him, I think he's a dude who works his ass off. He's a guy who's obsessed with the craft as well. Very intelligent man. Go look at where he played his college football, and his attention to detail seems legit. And there's no surprise when you have that type of work ethic and that type of mind and you apply it every day the way he has as a project quarterback. There's no surprise that he's where he's at now based off of where he was when the Eagles decided to put him in the role that he's been in. How about that? Didn't think we'd be getting the obnoxious hype train talk with Tanner Mckee, but he's got me. I mean, he's got me. Sometimes I think Eagles fans take it and run with it a little prematurely. I got nothing for you now. If this is premature, so be it. I'm right there with the rest of the crew. Which brings us to our Bleacher Report poll question of the show. Do you trust Mckee over Kenny Pickett for the backup quarterback? My answer is yes. Yes. If you're a receiver and you know Tanner Mckee is taking snaps, I believe you know I'm getting the ball. I know where the ball's going to be. I literally know that if I break, it's going to be exactly where it's supposed to be. I don't know if you know that with Kenny Pickett. You're at least going to have a 70% chance of coming down with the damn catch. Absurd. I loved every second of it. But I still can't stop laughing at the fact that the second there was a lot of buzz on social about Tanner Mckee and his great second preseason game here that we got to hear from the Eagles within actual seconds. Oh, no, we love Kenny Pickett. You make me laugh. I'm trying to see exactly what the quote is because it does make it hysterical. I know there's conversation about Tanner Mckee after two great preseasons, but the Eagles really like Kenny Pickett. They view him as the team. They view this as a team with three quarterbacks, and Kenny Pickett is number two. Please. All right, here's some other notes I noticed. Here's with the offensive line. Tyler Steen getting injured. He didn't look right in game one. Something looked off with him, and he was battling an ankle, and he was not 100% in game one. Well, with Mekhi Becton chilling, that's all she wrote with that little, not really a debate, but that little training camp battle for a position. Mekhi Becton won that pretty damn easily. Now, either there's not that much competition at the right guard spot, or Mekhi Becton did a fantastic job going from tackle and working with Jeff Stoutland to be a really strong right guard. Time will tell. All right, only time will tell, but I'm trying to figure out if this is more a story about how great Mekhi Becton could be. And there was once a time when there was a lot of juice surrounding his name at a different position on the line, but nonetheless, there was plenty of intrigue on his skill set and what he could potentially provide. It just never really panned out with the Jets. And if he applied a different mindset of, I need to make a shift because if I don't play right guard at a high level, I most likely won't be playing in the NFL anymore. So let's go here. I got to prove myself, and now it's time. And if he attacked this competition in the battle at right guard with that type of philosophy, then maybe he did really become something awesome there. Or are there not many great options, and you're just trying to hold the fort down as much as possible and allow Mailata, Landon Dickerson on your left side of your line? And, if you have Cam Jurgens play a really solid center for you at Lane Johnson on the right, and you can somewhat not hide Mckee Becton, because if you're getting pressure in the interior, think about what that can open up for some of your other players for you there on the defensive front, or if you want to utilize other personnel differently, it changes the game. So it's hard to hide that. But in a way, when Lane Johnson's playing to the right of you, and if Cam Jurgens is what Jason Kelce thought he could be when he put in his insight and said, yeah, I like what this guy brings to the table. Yeah, I think he could be almost a Kelce light, a Kelce 2.0. Well, if he shows flashes of that, can you sort of keep your head above water with Mckee Becton at right guard? What's the narrative and the talking going to look like around the right guard position when it's all said and done? But based off of the decision-making in preseason games, it seems like Mckee Becton sort of has that wrapped up. It's a shame, speaking of concussion protocol with John Ross earlier in the show, it's a shame we never got to see Johnny Wilson, because this would have been a fun game for him potentially to ball out. And if he was still in the game for the Tanner Mckee experience, then maybe we would have gotten something juicy from Johnny Wilson. The way that his name pops in training camp and the way that everybody thinks that he's got such a unique body frame, that there's something here. There's a different element. He could do something that others can't because of his big body and his big size. I would love to see it, truly. And there's a lot of buzz about it. I just wish I could see it in-game action, and we were robbed of that due to some concussion protocol as well. Keeping it on the offensive side of the ball, Shipley's 19-yard screen on 2nd and 22 outside of Tanner McKee's dimes is essentially the breakout offensive play of the game. I was pretty pumped up. I'm like, go, 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 go. When it's 2nd and 20 plus, I didn't know if they'd be able to generate any offense to keep the sticks moving. Now, to be fair, a lot of this game was a bunch of blah, and the clock was taking forever. And once Will Grier came in, I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. I cannot continue to watch this mess, especially when the Phillies are scoring a billion runs. Weston Wilson is hitting a cycle, right? I mean, you're getting an Alec Boehm home run in the first inning, and then I have on my main screen, because the Phillies were on the secondary TV tonight, especially once it was such a heavy blowout. I wanted to focus heavily on the Eagles and some of the rosters pieces and how they're performing, right? So they were on the big stage, the big screen for me, the 75-inch, and I'm looking up at the clock, fourth quarter, a few minutes to go. It was taking forever. Once the Will Grier experience was done, though, and we got more Tanner Mckee, I was on 1,000. I was 5 inches from the TV on my hands and knees trying to read the defense and start calling out stuff to watch Mckee be an absolute stud. I'm just saying. So offensively, what else? I think that's basically it. Jake Elliott, I know that he's more special teams, but able to put up points. And after he missed so many opportunities in the first game, it's nice for him to maybe get the nerves out. I don't know what to call it, but at least it's now going in between the uprights and we're not dealing with hitting any posts for this second game in New England. The Patriots stink, by the way. The Patriots absolutely stink. They're trading their best rusher. They got Judon leaving. They are absolute bums, and there's no organization I'd rather see go through a painful stretch of abysmal football more than a New England sports teams, because everybody knows that they don't deserve a damn thing. They don't deserve another championship in any sport over the next 85 years for all the crap that they've been able to win since I was, maybe like 10 years old? It's a disgrace. Let's go to the defense. Nolan Smith had the helmet-to-helmet penalty. You can't be dumb there. But he also had a third-quarter, third-down sack. That was right after Nakobe Dean made a play. So you had a couple of your young bucks creating a spark on the field. Patrick Johnson on third down. He gets to the quarterback, which then resulted in an actual chance to maybe intercept the ball. It was deflected. It was going up in the air a couple times. It ended up being incomplete, and then the Patriots sort of stopped their drive there. But I thought it was important for Patrick Johnson based off the fact that he made the game-changing play against the Ravens to give Jake Elliott that second chance for the field goal winner, and that's what he's able to do. So Patrick Johnson followed that up with a huge play on third down to get to the quarterback. Avonte Maddox in that pick, man, that was massive for Avonte Maddox. It's not as if Avonte Maddox can't play. It's Avonte Maddox can't stay healthy. If he could be healthy and he's in the end zone and he's jumping routes and he's reading the quarterback's eye, and then, by the way, he's taking it 50 yards the other way to set up the offense nicely. That's important, man. Avonte Maddox, that was a killer move. And for it to be in the end zone, that's back-to-back weeks as well, where I believe it was Ringo. It was Ringo against the Ravens that broke up a big play, and they were able to, it might have even been Patrick Johnson that made a tackle right before Ringo broke up that play. Like, red zone, making plays in the red zone defensively is something that I value tremendously. So to see that happen twice here in back-to-back weeks, that's awesome. And Avonte Maddox sort of had Isaiah Rodgers' back, because Isaiah Rodgers versus Jalen Reagor, and Reagor ends up winning the battle and makes a catch for them to even have a chance to score 7 points. And I'm thinking, dude, not Reagor. Then Reagor had a nice run back, and he's celebrating, getting all hype. Dude, you're a clown, bro. You are getting all pumped up for your preseason stats. Whoop-de-damn-do. You're on one of the worst teams in all the NFL. Oh, man. Getting all fired up. I think snot's flying out of my nose. I don't know what to tell you. Muting the mic. Cleaning myself up a little bit. Jalen Reagor makes me so sick. I thought Ringo had a few plays in coverage. Bradbury, not so much. He missed a tackle, and it was ugly. Jeremiah Trotter ended up missing a tackle on the same play. And credit to Nakobe Dean, who blitzed on the play, and he was right there at the quarterback, and he's the one who hustles. He moves his ass, gets back, and actually makes the tackle after Trotter and Bradbury whiffed completely, and it looked ugly. So it was a hell of a play by Nakobe Dean not to give up after he put all of his momentum forward to get back and make the tackle because his teammates couldn't do his job. And then it looked like Bradbury had a little bit of a brain hiccup, if you will, on an option play that resulted in 7 points for the Patriots for their touchdown. So not the best day for Bradbury. I thought Bryce Huff early had a couple of tackles that were solid. So for whatever that's worth, that's thrown in there as well. I want to see if we got anything interesting from Nick Sirianni. Not that I expect there to be a ton of info here. Kenny Pickett on the infrequency of downfield passes. Those big plays will come sooner than later. Just have to keep throwing them in practice. If they're there, we'll take them. If not, we'll continue to move the ball down the field. Okay. I don't know if they're going to come or not. There might be a reason why this is what's happening. All right, so Nick Sirianni is... Oh, no. That's not him talking now. It's some of the players talking. Looks like Tanner Mckee might be sharing his thoughts. Well, you know I want to hear that. You know that I'm all here to get the Tanner Mckee hard eye emojis. Because I'm all in. I'm probably going to be really obnoxious about this. I can't shake it. For a third stringer, and I can't even say third stringer because he's not a third stringer, not in my eyes. He's definitely a second stringer. The way he stands in the pocket. I don't want to say this because the way it ended here was a little sour. But when he stands in the pocket, I'm not talking about the escapability and the Houdini-like Carson Wentz moves when he was facing the Washington Commanders. There's 4 guys on top of him. He dips down below, and then he throws a 50-yard bomb. I'm not saying all of it reminds me exactly of Carson, but because of his stature And because of the way that his body, when he's in the pocket and his tall frame, there's times where he's scanning the field, and I'm like, yo, that looks like a 2017 MVP version of Carson Wentz before he became the bum that he is now. 3 or 4 weeks ago, when Kansas City was getting ready for their one of their training camp practices, my man was walking to the practice field, and his whole entire body just fell over nothing. His knees buckled, his shins collapsed. I'm not talking about that version of Carson. I'm talking about the beautiful version of Carson. I'm just saying. It does remind me of that sometimes. All right, we'll sort of end on this note because there's been a lot of questions about should they not have played any of their starters offensively during the preseason with a whole new offense and a new scheme and Kellen Moore calling plays. And, you can have more of a controlled environment all you want in Foxborough facing the Patriots for practice. But the point of football is it's not something you can prepare for. The unknown occurs, blitzes, all that stuff. It's an uncontrolled game. If you could control the game, then we wouldn't be seeing as many injuries and we wouldn't be seeing all sorts of wonkiness happen. So the controlled environment only gets you so far is my point. Would it have been beneficial? Because you're not going to see any of the starters in the final preseason game. Your best luck would have been in game 1 and game 2. So if you didn't see it, was that the right call? And for as much as I'll rip Nick Sirianni to part with the best I will rip Nick Sirianni with the best of them. I will rip him apart like no other. His track record of winning early in season speaks for itself. Even with a new offense, I'm not too concerned about it, specifically because of all of the rumors about how well Jalen Hurts has sort of adapted to this, and the offense seems to be grooving. So it's not as if there's a billion miscommunication errors and they can't seem to get on the same page, and it seems like they're truly missing something, and real in-game reps would potentially have them into a different tier of connecting and making sure that this offense is humming the right way. It seems like it's humming the right way, so it's all good stuff, to the point where Nick Wright on one of his Fox Sports shows is acting like it's too good, and Jalen Hurts has not thrown enough interceptions where there's a problem with it. So now we're ripping apart Jalen for not turning the ball over enough. It's pretty hysterical. Tanner Mckee says that Howie Roseman was great at communicating with him about Kenny Pickett trade. Said they were bringing in another quarterback and they were going to compete. We'll probably be competing all year. I love it, baby. I love it. And guess what, Tanner? You're going to win the damn job as well. All right, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me here on Bleacher Report. Another big dub in the preseason for your Kelly Green Eagles, if you will. But what a storyline coming out of this, your quarterback controversy. Is there anything better? All right, everybody. Enjoy, and I will catch you all later on.